Hi, I'm Jim from the oldwarlock.com. This is Alexander, and today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite Dungeons & Dragons supplements. And it's actually, it's a 4-part supplement. It's called the Encyclopedia Magica. Back in the 1990s, TSR took it upon themselves to gather every magic item that had ever been conceived of for Dungeons & Dragons. So they went through all of the Dungeons & Dragons manuals, they went through all the Dragon magazines, they went through all the supplements that had come out, not only in AD&D, but in Basic D&D, but also in AD&D 2nd Edition, and they combined them into these 4 volumes. And according to TSR at the time, for those of you who don't know, TSR was the originator of Dungeons & Dragons. That was the company that owned it.
Long live TSR.
Yes. According to TSR, if you use these volumes and you take into account that so many different items can be made with a variety of different abilities, you end up, again, in these 4 volumes, with 4,032,306,375 different possible magic items out of these books. And then, of course, they do say this figure, give or take a few 100,000, is an estimate of the items that can be created. But these are some of the most fun things to have, especially as a dungeon master, because one of the things that you can do, there are literally thousands of objects in here. But one of the things that you can do is they have random determination tables. So if you're looking for a random magic item that you want to throw toward your characters, build an adventure around, whatever you might want to do as far as a magical item is concerned, there are ways to generate those with these books. Give you an example of the different kinds of things. I chose a random one here before we started. One of my favorites is the Shovel of Animation. Experience points value 400, gold piece value 4,200. The item is as follows. This shovel seems to be a shovel of digging in all respects. However, it can also animate a human or demi-human body within 30 feet on command, as with an Animate Dead spell, producing an animated skeleton or zombie that obeys the user of the shovel. It can animate one body per 24 hours, but only in the moonlight. If the shovel is damaged in the least, all undead animated by it are instantly slain. So this gives you some idea of just the variety of cool things that people came up with over the years, primarily in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, as far as magic items are concerned. These items are not cheap. I've gone on hunts trying to find additional copies of these, and they are really difficult to come across. And when you do find them, they're very expensive. But if you do manage to get a hold of some of the copies, and you can get one copy, you can get you can function with one copy. I do have the entire set. They can really be just a fun thing to read, and also an idea generator for adventures for your characters. You'd be surprised as you go through here, you find 1 or 2 magic items that are linked together somehow. Next thing you know, your creative aspects are enhanced, and suddenly you've got a brand new adventure that is centered around a magic item that you might not have known existed just 20 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
So if you get the chance to pick up the Encyclopedia Magica, I strongly recommend doing it, because there are a lot of fun just to read through and to help you generate ideas.
They are the majority of the rules in here are written under the guise of 2nd edition, but for those of you who already play Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition, it's an easy crossover. There's not much of a difference there in terms of integral rules for understanding the game, but you could still purchase these and easily incorporate with the properties of magic items. There hasn't been a huge shift between AD&D and 5th edition, so if you want to pick these up and use them for 5th edition, it'll be easy for you to do as well. Most of the copies that we've been able to see and find are available on Amazon and eBay through people reselling them just from their personal collections of things that they've had for a long time. The first volume and the second volume seem to be the easiest to find and the cheapest. Third is a little more difficult. Fourth is very
Really
rare,
difficult to
and
find.
those can be massively expensive, reaching into like the $500-$600 range for one of those at times.
Now, they're divided up essentially in alphabetical order. So this is book number three?
I think so.
Book number four. This is book number 4, so it has the things that are related to W. So it has all the wands in it. If you go to, of course, book number 1, you're dealing with things like boots and discs. So it's divided up alphabetically that way. But the really interesting thing to me about this is that if you own book number 4, which of course completes the set, you can generate a random magical item by rolling the dice. Or rolling the die? The dice. The dice. My mind's not working today. Don't go there. By rolling dice, you can generate a random magical item. Mm-hmm. And generally, I don't do that in my campaign. I don't like to just generate random things and give them to people. But every now and then, it's a lot of fun because sometimes you can develop something that you never would have thought of yourself. And when you toss it out to a player, sometimes it will help them, sometimes it will hinder them, sometimes it will make them have to think a new way to deal with something. Because sometimes the item will have a personality, sometimes it will have an alignment, and sometimes it will give powers that the player might not be ready to actually use. We thought that what we might want to do here is just since there are so many cool magical items in these books, we thought we would generate 3 of them randomly and just read them off, and that's going to be the extent of the video. First one is the Potion of Good Humor, which is on page 871 here. Potion of Good Humor, gold piece value 1,100, experience points value 500. First appeared in the Polyhedron magazine that some of you might remember. Polyhedron magazine number 65, sorry. The Potion of Good Humor is described as a potion that, if imbibed, grants the drinker uplifted feelings and a cheery disposition. However, the potion is more useful if a stick is inserted into the potion's vial. When this occurs, the potion freezes and can be pulled from the vial by the stick. You see where this is going. When the frosty version of the potion is eaten, the character gains the cheery disposition mentioned above, needs no further nourishment for the day, and operates as if under a bless spell that lasts 2d12 hours, so up to 24 hours. For those of you who are not old enough to remember, Good Humor ice cream used to be well known across the United States. You could buy it in ice cream vans that came by. So I'll leave you to figure out the Potion of Good Humor in that description and how it applies. But I think that's actually kind of a cool
It's pretty sweet.
item. See what he did there?
I'm sorry.
Okay, let's move on to another one. We have the Arrow of Slaying.
Now you see, this is one of the fun parts of the English language. This isn't slaying as you might think, as in S-L-A-Y. This is the Arrow of Slaying, S-L-E-I-G-H. And the description is this. When this powerful item is drawn in a bow, in a combat situation, it immediately expands and unfolds into a full-size 4-place toboggan. So, picture it. You're in the middle of a vast tundra wilderness fighting some sort of Yeti-like creature. All of a sudden, one of your companions yells out, "Fear not! I have the Arrow of Slaying," and draws it in this bow, and then all of a sudden, a big sled just pops up and you guys can zip on out of there.
Or, more amusing to me, is you're in a combat situation in a dungeon, and someone has been told that they purchased in the local magic shop an Arrow of Slaying before they went on their most recent adventure, and in the middle of combat, as the whatever comes to rip them to pieces, he says, "Fear not, for I am armed with an Arrow of Slaying," and he pulls it out, draws the bow back, and a sleigh drops onto the floor. To me, that would be even more fun. But take it as you will. Either
What an item.
Alexander's side or my side.
Yeah.
It's still a cool item. The final one that we have is Owens Sword.
Has an experience point value of 1,200 and a gold piece value of 6,000. Originally found in the Shady Dragon Inn. Don't know what that is.
I gotta look that up.
Here's a description. Owen the Powerful wields a special broadsword +1 that flames upon command. When commanded to flame a target, the sword unleashes a fireball the size dictated by the user, up to 6 dice. The sword has 12 dice of fireballs at its disposal each day, and the user has the ability to specify the size of this fiery blast from 1 to 6 dice. Listen, I don't know who Owen is. I don't know what he's done in his past, but this is a very powerful sword that you can use to just light everything on fire.
And it's only worth, according to this, it's only worth 6,000 gold. But the fact that you can do 12 dice of fireballs each day, I want one of these.
But hey, there you go. There's a couple items that you can just sprinkle into your campaign somewhere if you want your characters to suffer or laugh, or
be armed to the teeth with
Yeah.
Owen's sword. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and we'll just do these from randomly from time to time. They're interesting objects. Again, these books, if you can find them, they are just a lot of fun to have, and they give you some randomness that one of the things that I know is that my development of magical items for characters and for my campaigns, sometimes they start to follow a pattern, but if you can get a hold of these, they will definitely mix things up for you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jim from the Old Warlock.
I'm Alex.
Keep your sword on free.
Bye.